Hello, everyone. My name is Rafal, and I would like to welcome everyone to my headshot and portrait photography podcast. Today, I have very special guests, Yulia and Igor from they're in Florida. They're living in some beautiful city, but I cannot pronounce it, so we decided we're gonna keep them there. Um, First of all, I just want to say huge thank you for accepting my invitation to join this podcast.
Thank
You
you.
guys doing beautiful and amazing work. Your images are just absolutely stunning. On the top of it, you guys also amazing coaches. And we just briefly talked before that you guys literally teaching photography people across the world from all sorts of different countries, places. You guys amazing leaders when it comes to portraiture. Also, we've talked a little bit. I've been also purchasing some of your tutorials,
You're
some
so
of your
kind.
files.
Thank you.
You guys sharing some amazing tips, which I'm implementing into my work and helping a lot. So we'll link everything later on. So thank you for joining the podcast, and I'm really looking forward to chat with you.
Thank
Our
you.
greatest pleasure. Thank you, Rafal.
Same
Thank you
here.
so
Thank you for
much.
inviting us. Really
So
appreciate it.
let's jump right into it. So typically, I want to know a little bit more about you guys. I've done a little bit of research. We talked a little bit before,
Yeah.
but tell me a little bit how you guys got into photography. Because like a lot of people have a different journeys. I know they do different things, and then all of a sudden they discover, hey, you know what? Let's try that. And what was your story?
Yeah.
So, do
Go
you want
ahead.
me to go?
Yeah.
So, back in 2010, we ended up in the United States. We originally are from Belarus, and we came here. Igor was invited to work in the music industry. He's a musician by profession, spent about 20 years in professional music world.
Yeah.
Playing guitar, writing songs. And so we were invited here and we're like, yes, this is our dream. You know, we're here for American Dream. We had a 1-year-old baby on our hip. So we come to America full of hope and excitement. And it was a disaster. Like the people that we thought were our friends, it just did not work out. So, and it was a long journey. So probably like 2014, 2015, we are at this like rock bottom. We understand we can't move forward, we can't go back. We burned every bridge, you know, and we're looking at this like abyss. What are we going to do with our lives, you know? And we're like, we're not young, we're not 20s, in our 20s, and by then we had already two kids. I was a mom with a camera, always taking their pictures, you know, trying to do like these newborn sets. And then Igor, of course, from his music industry, just from being in the show business, like they always had like photo shoots and everything. And he's just very, very creative and artsy. So of course we have a camera, and we're like, well, let's try this. And people started to ask us to go outside, and we had spent about a year just figuring out, like you did. Like we tried some weddings. We're here in South Florida. We quickly understood weddings is not going to be it for us.
Too hot.
Too hot.
Too hot, yeah.
Then I tried newborns, and I quickly realized that is not going to be it either, because it needs to be hot, and you need to have a lot of patience, and neither of us are that. But we always were fascinated with people and portraits and just the psychology of it. And I think that is kind of how we started to get into it. I mean, it was a little bit of a journey trying to figure out the genres and the structure of like to make it business instead of art. But yeah, that was kind of it. Like back at the wall, and like no room to fail. Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about the moment where you guys decided let's go into the portraiture, because as you said, we all kind of test the waters, you know, like
Right.
everyone has kind of own journey, like, okay, let's try that. And to be honest, you know, when you said about the baby photography, I tried that too for like, I don't know, 6 months, and then the safety was one of those biggest concerns for me.
Yeah.
And I was just terrified because whenever I had this, like, I don't know, baby to take pictures of, I was just like, it just terrifies me. So like I know exactly what you're saying. But tell me a little bit about, as I said, the journey into the portraiture. You know, what kind of convinced you, and was this the kind of like the moment where like, okay, this is what we're going to focus on?
Well, this journey with babies and weddings or shooting outside in Florida was very, very short. Thing is that because of my background, I was producing some videos for the band and doing some photography. I always love to work with people, and I wanted to see something in the shot that will speak to me. You know, not just a documentary. Specifically portraits with the person. We call it in Belarus or in Russia. We call it it's a
like psychological portrait.
Psychological
almost,
portrait.
you know,
Yes.
where there's a little bit more
Yeah.
like dramatic feel to it,
Yeah.
where you focus on
character of the
character.
person. Yeah.
Person,
So you focus on the person, and I always wanted to see the truth in the shot. You know, like you can see that the person not faking, but it's a real person speaking to me through the shot. You know, that's what kind of was always drawing me into this. And there was a moment when we started photographing people, and it was starting to kind of pick it up. And we decided at one point we told ourselves, we either jump full in or not doing it at all, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit. I think it was a very like organic process. You know, we went from like weddings, we're like, nope, not it. Babies, nope, not it either. And then like families in the park, we're like, maybe, but park is too hot. And we actually loved the studio. And then friends would find out about our little doubling efforts, you know, and they're like, hey, do you do headshots? We're like, let's try, you know. And so we would invite them into our house, the little studio that we made at our home. And they're like, oh, these are actually really good, you know, as we're tinkering and trying to find like all these different setups and what we can do and natural light and mix. And then my girlfriends were like, oh, can I just come and play and change my outfits, you know? And I'm like, sure, let's practice, you know. And so I think it was just like this organic process. And then it fast forward to like 2018, Igor was still working. He had a full-time job, and I was a stay-at-home mom trying to do this. Actually taught some music lessons too on the side. And then we sat down and we're like, we either have to get married to this or get divorced, because we're dating it, and it's too much at this point to be an expensive hobby, you know, or like we're charging like $100 an hour, or like we just have to figure it out. And so we rented a commercial space. We decided to jump. We're like, we're gonna give it a year.
By faith. Yeah.
Like literally, we're just gonna like jump and see if, you know, God catches us, or it's going to be a complete disaster. But we already are in a disaster, right? Like we already, so we'll just give it a try. So we took out a loan, we got a commercial space, and started to learn. This is where I started to focus on business, where Igor started to get more into like creative, the feel, working with people. And I started to research, okay, how do people make the money work?
Yes.
What do creative people do with like money? How do you even decide what to charge? You know, like what is the cost? Like, you know, so that was my kind of a furnace about 2-year journey to kind of figure out just the numbers. Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the business side, and I want to focus on it quite a bit, because as I mentioned before, this is the biggest struggle for most photographers, right? Like it's you know, being creative is the one thing, but turning into the business person is a completely different sets of skills. But before we go there, I want to talk a little bit about what Igor says about this psychology of portraiture and headshots. And the reason I want to ask about it, because I'm personally extremely fascinated with this, because we both know, like, you know, you see the image, you either feel it or you don't feel it. It's no kind of middle.
Absolutely.
And based on probably your experience teaching, you know, students and people all over the world, you know, the main focus, especially at the beginning, is the equipment, right? You know, like you have the perfect lighting, you have the perfect camera, lens, whatever. But then is this kind of jump, right? We're just like, okay, I figured that part out. I have studio, I have lighting, I have all this stuff. And now it's okay, what's next? And then when you start kind of discovering, okay, you know what, there is another huge ocean when it comes to psychology and how to connect with people, how to capture them the way, you know, you can feel something from the image. So please share me the kind of what was the process of you, because okay, one thing what I want to say also is like there's not much literature, like informations and then books and then everything could teach you this stuff. Like
we have 2 courses on that.
We have to figure it out on your own. So tell me a little bit more when you guys kind of went over that loop when it comes, okay, you know what, we have the equipment figured out. and now is this psychology part, because I when for me it was just like, holy smoke, this is like another massive step, right? There's
Yeah.
so much to learn and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to jump into the business part.
Okay, I'll start jumping anytime you want. Yeah, jump in.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay.
But I think you should be the one.
Okay, so what happened in the beginning, and we've seen all these courses and, all photographers who's watching right now, or doing or done some kind of professional work. I've seen all these tutorials about posing and dresses, multiple outfits. We've seen it all, right? And most of the time when you're watching these tutorials, who do you see? Models, right? Which
beautiful 20-year-olds.
Yeah, but
you can't really screw up no matter how hard you try, right?
Exactly.
Like, they're always beautiful.
So, and you're like, I was getting ready for a photo shoot every time, like sweating, bringing all my ideas or Pinterest boards to the shoot and stuff like that. And then
magazines.
Magazines. And then a normal person would come up through the door, and I understood at this moment, none of that of my preparation gonna work right now. None of that. No poses, because this person completely doesn't look like what I've seen on Pinterest or on the magazine or anything like this. And most of it, they're scared. They're looking in the camera, their eyes are big, and they're like, okay, that's what you see in front of your camera.
Yeah.
And I understood that there is something needs to be changed, right? And more I was into it, I start more talking to the person. I start kind of put on the back my camera, my understanding where the light is, my equipment, and being present with this person. Being a human, that was the number one thing to me, to be with this person, and holding this person by hand through the whole photo shoot. Through the moment this person would come through the door, I understood that I need to hold this person by the hand and tell him or her, everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be guiding you every step of the way. You don't have to do anything. Just look at me. We're gonna do it together, okay? And we were talking a little bit about the kids, and then one of the courses we were teaching people, and I kind of discovered one thing that really works for me very well. That
You're selling our free course, by the way. We have a free course. So yeah,
of course, we're gonna plug it in.
No, it's a free. Okay, when the person sits at the table first,
yes,
right, in front of me, and she would pretty much 98% of the people would tell me, "Oh my gosh, I hate this. My smile is not right. I don't know what to do with my hands. I just don't like the experience." And I say, "Listen, tell me, if I would ask you, I would say, do you have a best friend?" And she would say, "Yes, it's Sally, let's say." And I would say, let me ask you this. If I met Sally before I met you, and I would ask Sally I would say, "Hey, Johnny coming to my photo shoot. Can you tell me about her?" And what Sally would tell me. And she would say, "That's an interesting question." She would be like, "Okay, maybe," she would say, I'm a good friend. I'm really funny, and I can share everything with her because she was always listening." And I could see, first of all, when she said the name Sally, she would say, "Oh, I have a friend." I would see how her face would lit up right away at this moment. She was just like, "See, that's beautiful already." So we would talk a few things, and then at the end of this question, I would ask, "Did you notice that your friend didn't tell me anything about how you look?" She said, "Oh, yeah, that's right. Do you understand why? Because our friends and people who love us, they care less how we look. They only care about who we are." And listen, and I would say, she just described the word beautiful about you. All these things that she said, it was meant to say, that's how beautiful she is, right? Through the 2 minutes of a conversation, I would look at this person in front of me and see a completely different person. And we would go through this photo shoot as a friends. We would here and there talk a few things, giggle together, and I will catch the moments right in between and take a shot. And that's.
So let me go a little bit deeper into this,
Okay.
because we have similar experiences, but I want to just challenge this a little bit. So tell me, and as a photographers, we experience that constantly. As you said, everyone who comes to our sessions, they're terrified, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
people bring all sorts of different own problems and issues and life problems, whatever they're dealing at that moment in their life. And I understand that the biggest thing, as you describe, is creating that connection, that kind of bridge between you and me. So tell me about those challenging sessions, because as we know, there's some people, we build that bridge slowly, we can kind of create it, and then we cross it, and then we were kind of in the place where we can just create those images. So tell me about those challenging sessions you guys had or experience where it's difficult to build that bridge, and then you're trying to do things and then it doesn't work, and then we pull off all sorts of different tricks and things and connecting, but there is this wall where it's like a big piece of ice, which it's just so hard to kind of go through it. So tell me about those cases, because I think we all experience.
I think Igor loves these cases.
Well, I love
oh
this
really?
case.
Okay.
He loves this case because well, I think he's gonna tell you what I think he's gonna tell you, but like a couple of weeks ago we actually discussed this with our students. There was a lady who came to the session, opened the door, closed the door, went back to her car, and texted our assistant. She's like, I don't think I can do this. So you can talk about cases like this.
Yeah,
you definitely have cases.
Well, tell this story first.
Yeah.
Tell this story.
Well, then she has the photo shoot. Then she gets in the car.
So as my assistant, my scheduling assistant, she said, "Listen, don't worry, don't think about it. Just go inside.
Just make it back to the door and open the door, and then they'll take care of the rest." And then she texts Igor, like, "Igor, please, the lady's terrified. Like, walk her in." So they walk her in. She's almost like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "This is I don't know. Like I'm never photogenic. Like always, Like I hate myself on camera. Please, like just something quick. I just need one picture." We're like, "It's okay. It's gonna be fine." So afterwards, she cries happy tears.
Spend 3 times more than she would think.
Spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
Invites her daughter in.
Yeah.
Her daughter sees her pictures, cries.
Yeah.
Comes back for her own session, spends a ton of money, and then I think they're gonna do a session together this year.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you guys should change the name of the business, become psychologists, or therapists. That's what.
Interesting. Some people say that you're talking to me like a psychologist. Is this a psychology session or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's our
anyway,
mission in life.
to me, it's like if you're being human, like real human, you know what I'm saying? So people can feel that you are faking if you are trying to pull some kind of trick. Like, I would say.
Yeah.
I tried those tricks. First of all, let me go back a little. Like some photographers, they will even sell the cards, what to say during the photo shoot.
Yes.
You've heard that, right?
Yeah, heard it. Yeah.
You own some cards, right?
Listen,
We all own the cards.
I tried somebody else's phrases, and that's just not working for me at all.
100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I threw them all away.
Like prompts, like funny things, just, I don't know.
I think that goes with the personality of the person, but also what I want to say, and I think that's where you're going with this. That's what I believe, because this is what I discovered. We have to learn also about ourselves, who we are as a photographer.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. If you can be yourself 100%, the person will be just the same towards you. And through the hardest case, okay, get back to the hardest cases. Most of the hard cases, not most of it, I tell you, every hard case usually comes with the person who was company said that you need to go and take a shot. It wasn't his idea or her idea to come.
They don't want to be there, but because they need headshots for the, they're basically being forced to be there.
Yeah.
So
someone told them to do it. Yeah.
So that's the hardest.
Or teenagers that, the family pictures, there's a teenager, they're 16, 17, and they're like, can't make me, like that would be.
But if we're talking about headshots specifically, that's the hardest case. The rest of them, because they came here, they paid already lots of money to come in, right? Mm-hmm. So they already on the board. So all it takes for me from this moment, even if it's because a person's super duper nervous, right? I put them behind the table through the first shot. First of all, they're going through the makeup artist, right? So they already have a conversation and they see what's happening in the studio. It's not that scary. It's right in front of their eyes. The previous person goes through.
The previous one survived.
Yeah. So there is
they're still breathing.
Yeah.
They're okay.
That's a good one. You should have someone always before. So
yeah. But listen, I created in my studio a very homey atmosphere. It doesn't look like a professional studio. Okay, when you come in, it's almost you come in the living room. You're sitting in the living room and you hang out, music playing, you have a few snacks, and we just have a normal people, like being honest. If I'm honest, all the way honest, share my story or whatever, it always break the ice. Always. This is the only thing I found actually will break the ice if you will be a real human.
Like, can I just add?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people will feel if you're trying to sell, like, you know, if this is about you or about them. I think it's always there's this cross, like the fork in the road.
Yeah.
And if you make it about them, like I've seen Igor put down the camera and be like, listen, if we only get one shot today, that's all we need. And I promise you, we have 45 minutes. I'll get you one shot. I'm a professional. This is not about that.
Yep.
And so he's going to talk to them about until he feels like the guard just goes down. Like he'll never force the camera until they're ready.
Yeah.
And even with our students, like we've done some shots and like mock up, like live, you know, from the studio tune in, and they always comment on, oh my gosh, like we didn't realize how patient you are. How this becomes not about photographing. Like we just had like even our students flew in for the last like we had modern headshot actually training, and some of the students flew in and we photographed them, and they were like, I didn't even feel photographed. I honestly didn't feel like I was posing. I thought it was just like a conversation with a friend. And I think that's very, very important when people expect like this experience where they're going to be in empty space by themselves and you're just going to be far away and you're just going to like expect them to act a certain way, like to stand up to this, and they don't feel like they measure up, right? But when you put the camera down and you're like, we're just gonna have a conversation. Tell me more about you. Like, what's like your grandkids, your business, like what's most important? And the guard goes down, or the best friends, and they're like, oh, this is not bad. This is fine. I can actually even smile. You know, and then like technically, of course, like there's tethering, there's preset, so it looks good straight out of the camera. So it's like a transformational experience for them.
It's like actually joking thing. You've heard the phrase said, "Be the reason somebody smiled today," right? It's actually for photographers. It was written.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let me add one thing.
Absolutely.
You have to understand that maybe it'll make more sense. I only take about from 40 to 50 shots per hour with this person. So it's not a lot of shots I'm doing. So think of this. I'm not holding my camera all the time and trying to catch the shot. None of that. I'm actually talk to the person. And when I see it ready, I take a shot.
Take a shot.
Yep.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more. Let's kind of dive a little bit to kind of expand this. Well, basically, it's all about building the trust throughout a session, right? Like, you know, and as you said, you know, so they can put the guard down. Okay, now I can be myself. So tell me a little bit more about that process. And what I want to ask you about this, maybe not technical part, but I've seen on some of your reels and stuff, like you guys are showing shots to the client just to kind of encourage them. Tell me a little bit about this, like, you know, how this process look like from maybe not the technical perspective, but how this kind of dance between you and the client kind of looks like to get them into this kind of, I would say, mood where they completely like vulnerable and they're like, okay, you know what, I'm all yours, and you can take any shots, and those shots I know it's gonna work. Tell me about that process.
Okay, this is actually really fun. This is my the favorite thing to do.
You can tell, right? Like,
I'll try to be calm.
Calm down. We need you to 3.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so remember, I always start photo shoot with the table first. Person sits in front of me. We talk about, hey, blah blah blah. Okay, think of this. I know, because you said you said 100% the truth. Every person comes through the door terrified, right? Which means in their mind there is none of that gonna work. It's just not gonna work. I know it's worked for my friend and she was so beautiful, but it's not gonna work for me. I don't look good and I don't smile good. Okay. All right. So I sit at the table. We have this conversation about the friend, right? And we talk about what's actually important, because I said, you remember, like your friend said that you are a great friend, you are absolutely amazing, or you're badass, or something like you're funny, or described all these beautiful things about you. And then I say, that's exactly what I'm going to be photographing today. Just think of this, how much money we spend and attention we spend on the outside, which is basically not important for people who love us at all, right? But and totally forget about the real beauty. So we talk about this stuff. And then, again, keep in mind, in this person's mind, nothing's gonna work. I'm not just gonna be as beautiful, right? So this person at the table, I'm positioning her and say, okay, well, let's try it. Like you sitting at the coffee shop or something with your friend and listening or sharing juicy stories with your friend, right? So she sit down, she's like, okay, right? And I'm like looking for my angle, all right? And then okay, I'm looking for my angle, and I take a shot, and I say, listen, this is my favorite part. So I drop the phrase, maybe like something, I'll be the reason you smile today, or something like this, or whatever. I say, giggle, let's giggle together, okay? And she's like, giggle, and I take a shot, okay? And it's right away in my computer, right? And I look at the shot and say, and I look at the shot right away, and I say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. She doesn't see the shot yet, okay? While I'm saying this, I make a little adjustment, the cropping, okay? And then I turn computer towards her, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's not even me. Oh my gosh, I love it. And that's it. From this moment on, everything is different.
Yes.
That's
It's like a mind shift, right? Yeah, I experienced that if but also kind of like, I don't want to go in a negative way, but I had stories where there's a lot of people who coming to us, as you said, and we all experience that they're extremely insecure, right? And they see things which nobody else sees, just them, and they have this like point something on their face which they don't like, and that's what they're going to focus on.
Right.
But as you said, we need this mind shift that they can see it something more than that. But going back, I had this story where someone came in for a session and I showed a shot which I deeply believe was fantastic, but the person, the insecurity kind of kicked in, and and it didn't end up well, because I noticed that kind of she shut down a little bit, and it took me I had to go back and unpack all of it all over again to bring her back to the spot where she felt secure.
Exactly. Feel secure, right?
Yes.
So remember, like, how much time in the beginning I talked about what's actually important and what we actually photographing, not the outside, but inside. And when I turn, most of the time, when I turn the computer towards the client, I'll say, see, that's exactly what I see right now. I see this confident, beautiful person in front of me. That's how people gonna see that. See, I'm holding this mind shift in the proper position.
Constantly. It's like,
because we all of us evaluating our nose first before we are evaluating anything else, right?
Absolutely.
And then when I talk about when client just come through the door, we talk about who's going to be. Are we doing these pictures for the wall in your bedroom, or are we doing for the people who are actually going to see you? What do they want to see? And they tell me what they want to see. They want to see confidence. They want to see inviting feeling, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So what are we photographing? Nose? No. Exactly.
So let's go a little bit further and let's talk about the creative process, because it looks like, based on what I see on the Instagram and on your website, you guys have very consistent style, right? And it seems like those images, they have, even though they're different, but they're really showing emotions, but they have this kind of consistency when it comes to the style. Tell me a little bit about this, because I think for a lot of photographers out there, even those ones who are listening, this is one of the biggest challenge, how I can create own style, right? Like that's what they always ask, like, hey, how I can create my own style of photography. And then through your work, if I see your shot, I know it's yours, right? Like it's just
Thank you.
something that you just kind of hits you. Okay, I know who did that. So tell me a little bit about kind of developing this style. Like, how did you guys get to those aesthetics and this kind of, because I've noticed you guys really like to shoot on the white and colorful backgrounds where have this kind of distinctive look. Tell me about that process, because I know if you have any tips or advice, for those ones who still in the process of developing that significant feel to their images.
Okay, so like to me, it's like almost like in music. You like certain music, right? You're leaning towards. So you might like a lots of different music, but you're still going to be leaning towards your favorite song or style
Just
of
sound,
music,
yeah.
sound, right? This is almost to me the same thing.
Okay.
Because when I was photographing, obviously, when we start in photograph, start to photograph, we are leaning towards magazines. We're looking at the magazines. Oh, this is a beautiful actress or something like this, and she was photographing in this style. So we try this, then we try this, then we try this. I think through the experience and through this process of going through different photographs, at the end you figure out I kind of leaning towards this style. That's how, and then you. From here, you're not watching anymore the magazines.
Yeah.
You start looking for actually photographs that is that working or not working. Is it speaking to you or not speaking? And that's where your style start even more be more concentrated and obvious.
And I think also like the response from clients, right? Like this white, like black and white on white background.
I always love
we
black
loved
and
it,
white.
but like it seemed like it was just like a huge response. Like people loved it and like, oh, we want this. I think it.
I mean, it was
plays
a
into
bit, but
little bit.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure I was following this, but yeah, maybe it's encouraged me to do more of that. Obviously, it encouraged me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. On the reason I was asking about it, because I have the same kind of like experience that, like it's just kind of what you feel, but then also like, the clients giving you feedback. Okay, this is what we like. And you just started kind of like reshaping a little bit and kind of going that direction. So let's talk a little bit about emotions when it comes to your work, because every image you guys showing out there, like it hits you, like you can really feel it, something from it. So tell me about how you guys choosing those final shots. The reason I'm asking about it because like again from my own experience, photographers and clients, not all the time, but
Very different.
sometimes they have a completely different ways of what we see and what they see, and we know what works. They see what works for them, and how you kind of find the happy medium, like how, because I know you want to also show the work which represents you, right? And then we know from going through thousands of images that okay, those images, they are they're working. We feel from them. So tell me a little bit about that process, like how this whole thing looks like when it comes to choosing those final shots. Like you mentioned that you don't shoot like thousands of images. You have very limited amount. But even from that process, how this whole thing looks like when it comes to choosing the final shots for the client.
Okay, so the clients actually the final shots the client choose right after the photo shoot is done. Okay, because they already have my preset on it. They look pretty much looks like retouched when I'm tethering, right? And thing is that because I'm going through this conversation with the client through the whole photo shoot, and I'm being excited about certain shots that I like, and they see the confidence in me, right? And they trust me as a professional with those shots. So when I'm showing you shots on the Instagram, 90, I would say 95% of those shots been was chosen by clients. It's not me that chose. But I am gently guiding the client when we sit down and choosing images on the big screen, okay, one by one, and then I'm talking through when the shot comes on the screen, and we're going to the next one. I say, see this, I think you are present here. You have a more connection on this one, or this image has more inviting feeling, or calm, or very joyful. It depends on what we've talked before with the client, because some clients want to have joyful and energetic images. Some of them wants to have more thoughtful present, like let's say lawyer. He doesn't want to be, right? He wants to be more thoughtful, but still inviting and welcoming and strong, right? So when we go through this, and I know what we've talked about, I'm guiding the client through these images, and I'm telling them, so let's choose the images that not just pretty for you, but they will do the job why you're here, why you came here in the first place. Because if we pick the images that you like because they're pretty, they're not going to do the job for you, you just wasted your money. I'm telling you right now. Okay, so let's talk before we even sit down at the table. And I said, as hard as much as you can. I know it's going to be almost impossible for you to look through your client's eyes on these images when they're going to be going through the highway and you're going to be on the billboard. But try as much as you can. Don't pay attention to your nose or to this. Pay attention what this image actually tells to this client.
Absolutely. So let's switch the gears a little bit and let's talk about the retouching process. I want to talk a little bit about it because it's part of what we do. And you know, some photographers, they have this distinctive also style of retouching their images. And I know at this point, you know, we have all these tools, AI kind of plugins and all this stuff which do these things automatically. But it's up to photographer to decide how far we go with the retouching process. So tell me kind of your side of the story, like how you guys approach retouching, how the process look like. We don't have to go into like a very specific details, but I want to talk a little bit about, you know, like how this whole thing looks like after the session when you guys get to the point, okay, it's at the editing time.
Okay, so we got spoiled in the very beginning pretty well about because during the COVID, even before the COVID, I had one retoucher working for me. Actually, she's in Canada too, in Ontario, and she's Polish girl.
Oh, there you see, we all talented.
Oh my gosh, all talented. We worked with her. I don't know how many years, more than 8 years,
six, 7,
yeah, something like that.
Oh my gosh, I just said
6, 7, yeah.
If you have kids, you will know.
I know exactly. I hear that every single day, countless times.
So anyway, so what I did, I trained one retoucher, her, and I trained another during COVID to have my look. I taught them how far I want to push. Okay, and I hold it back on the way I didn't want to over retouch the image. I want the person be just as much as possible as she looks in the real life. Just soften, if they're an older person, just soften the wrinkles, get rid of stuff here, because most of the time it's like right here pushing and stuff like that. This was my main concern. And some specific notes, if like there's some blemishes or anything like this needs to be retouched. So I told them this. And what they do, they retouch the images and they deal with my clients. So they going back and forth. So I tell my clients, if we're gonna retouch them to this way, to this certain way, and I show the picture before and after to my clients, not of their picture, but somebody else that I have already saved. I said,
in a certain age range.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to add, like we have a younger person, we have a middle age, and we have a little bit like of a mature skin. We're like, this is kind of how we're going to retouch you. Go ahead.
And most of our clients came by referrals, so they've seen either their friends or co-workers, so they look pretty much real, right? But I say, you will have one revision with us on all of your images that you purchase. If you want us to push farther and make you even less wrinkly, in the funny way, I would say that.
It's a dance between being serious and like you always have
but
to.
You have to understand, we have this very, at the end of the photo shoot, we have this very cool connection. We are like talking, laughing, giggling together, looking at
Igor the therapist.
Yeah.
I just went through my therapy session,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and they are already crying and laughing 5 times during looking at the images and stuff like this. So I can easily say stuff like that. So, and I said that, and then they decide when they receive the images a week later, they decide, okay, I like it, or I want to maybe take away this wrinkle. And she would write a note to my retoucher back, and my retoucher will get it going. That's it. Absolutely. That's the whole process.
Perfect. Okay, so let's hit the heavy stuff
Okay.
right now,
The heavy
and let's
stuff.
talk
Business.
about business.
Oh, business. Yes.
So this is something that, of course, is a heavy duty topic for a lot of photographers. So let's start with the basics. Please tell me, because as we spoke before, it's a set of skills which you have to somehow kind of learn and figure out what works, what doesn't work. Tell me
Mhm.
about your journey. Well, let's start with turning your, like, a, let's say, hobby, because that's how I think it started, and turning into the business. And I want to kind of point it out one thing, which you said it before we kind of went live, that you guys just jumped right all in. It wasn't just like kind of, slow process, getting into this. You guys, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to marry this thing and we're going to work on it till we're going to be successful. So tell me about that journey. Do you think, in your opinion, it's kind of something that you should go for transition, or just slowly getting into this, or just fully dedicated yourself and just go right into it?
No, well, first of all, like, we did have a transition. Like I
Yeah.
told you, we kind of dabbled for about 2 years. The
Okay.
first year I was complete double. The second one, we started to get paid, but it wasn't enough to
Sustain.
sustain, just on its own. So I do think it needs to be a transition, of course.
Okay.
I think, again, it's an organic process because you're developing the skills. Once you're a business owner, being a business owner, it's no joke, of course, and it's not like one specific skill. I mean, it's many different skills.
Yes.
To market, to sell, to know the numbers, to streamline, organize things, right? To create systems, to create workflows, to be very, very, I don't know what to say, like to have courage, because you are doing a lot of things that at first it just looks very bleak. I mean, for a year, you're probably not going to see a lot of results.
Right.
Just getting your name out there, trying to establish your brand. Plus, you're learning. I mean, it's like you're building a plane and you're flying the plane at the same time. So it's so it's this very overwhelming kind of a feeling, and it takes a lot of skill. So it definitely was a journey. I think we just got to the point where we knew, like, if we understood that we will make it work, because it seems to be working to a certain degree, and we're just coming up against no time. Because Igor's spending all his time at a full-time job, and I'm spending my time at my part job, and then we're doing this part-time. But if we feel like if we pushed harder, if we focused, our results would be greater. Right. So that's kind of the point where we're like, okay, well, like right now let's say like we make like $2,000 a month. I don't know, like it's rough.
Bulk number,
Well, if we had 40 more hours, we would make that much more money, and that would be sustainable to cover his job. Right. Of course, there's always a risk. At first, like, you don't have a lot of numbers to to deal with. It's but I think that's where you have to arrive. Like, you have to kind of have a plan to figure out how you're gonna, if you put more time and focus in it, will it bring you more results? Right. Like, will there be impact?
So what would be, in your opinion, when you look back, and I know it's journey for everybody, right? And what I mean, like, you're testing waters, you're trying this, you're trying that, to just make it work somehow. So when you look back at the beginning of your journey, what would you say is what was the biggest challenge? Because, like, I agree with you when you said, like, okay, you know what, if we put more hours into this, then we would make more money. But we both kind of know that sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not, right? Because there's dry months where, there's a slowdown. I don't know, it's the summer, whatever, right? And as you said, you have to somehow kind of like implement this whole thing, that it's not really steady. Because if you go to the, like, I don't know, regular work, 9 to 5, you get the check, you're good, right? With this, it's just constant kind of, you have to just adjust things, change things, work on things, and you don't even know if this is going to work or not. It's just like testing, right?
Yeah.
So what would be the biggest challenge you guys had starting the business? And then when you look back, what would you change that you would know would work would work better?
I have my thoughts. I mean, first of all, we know, both of us know that the biggest challenge is to bring people in the studio, to find the clients.
I think you spend a lot of time as a creative thinking if your work is good enough,
Yeah.
that you'll attract clients.
I'll
You know,
totally
like even
change that,
even
yeah.
right now, like you know, like this term attract clients kind of like makes me which a little bit, because you can't attract clients like being like a spider and just, you know, like, oh, here's my website and here's my pretty work on Instagram. Like, why is nobody attracted? For the first 2 years of your business, you have to realize like you're going to be dragging people through the door.
Yeah.
So I think you need to stop wasting time. You need to get like courageous. Like you need to get the confidence and just go after them. That's number one. And the second one I would change is that, and I think that's how we arrived at this very streamlined, very consistent, very like branded look, to where we used to kind of see ourselves as a freelancers. You know, basically kind of client calls and like, hey, can you do this? We're like, of course we can. And you're on this side of town, you know, and you're trying like, oh, what can I charge? What can I charge for this? Yes. And then by the time you get there, they're like, oh, and I also have my friend here. And can you take pictures of my sister too? But,
and the dog.
But the price, and the dog. Yeah. And the price, but they already paid you, you're like $100. And so you're like, oh my freaking gosh, you know, and so and then the next day somebody else calls and you're like, can you do this? You can't say no, because of course you have a bill to pay. So you're running to the other side of town and you never figure out, okay, well, like, is it worth it? You know? And then at some point we just got so tired of it. We're like, you know what, when people go to a store, like a brand, you know, to buy an iPhone, they come to the store and they expect to see certain iPhones for a certain price with certain specifications, with a certain results.
And you can't change the price and the phone.
You can't change. You're like, oh, can you add a little bow here? No, I can't. You know, and it only exists in 5 colors. So we're like, well, what if we approached our sessions like this? There's going to be a price. There's going to be what it includes. There's going to be how it looks. And we also will develop a workflow for ourselves. So we're like, okay, Igor, you have 45 minutes. I need you to produce about 50 images, because if you produce more, people just get overwhelmed and your sales session lasts like 4 hours and they're ready to puke. So can you do this? And then we kind of know like, this is how much they pay minimum to come in, because this is how much it takes us to run the business and have the cost of, you know, fulfillment.
System.
It's a system. And if I could just go back and save ourselves like 3 years of our life or 4, this is what I would do. First of all, you have to market and create actually a branded product to where people, like you said, they know Pure Photographic as a brand.
So they know that when they come, they know exactly what they're getting.
There's policies. We know exactly what's going to happen, and it takes this decision fatigue and is running around out of you and actually positions you to be a respected brand in your community versus like a freelancer, like a dabbler. You know what I'm saying? You're a high quality specialist. You're producing high quality product for then you can charge more, of course, and everybody knows what's going to happen. So I think that would be my biggest recommendation for sure. Structure.
Structure. So let's talk more about marketing, because this is something, again, challenging. As you said, you know, you try to drag people through the door. So what, in your opinion, are the best marketing strategies for portrait and headshot photographers these days? Because you know also that I'm going to just share a little bit of story from back when I was a wedding photographer, because I remember back in the days, I could put only one ad in the local magazine and I could book 40 weddings within like a month. And that was it. $5,000 for full page. And then, you know, like the calls were just kind of going on all the time. With the time, this whole thing has changed, not only because there's more photographers, there's more competition, different styles, you know, the social media completely changed the game. So what would be your, I would say, advice how to market yourself in 2025? And let's kind of push this even forward, how you think this whole marketing is going to look in the 2026.
Great question. So when we started out, again, we tried so many things. I want to say a little bit of it is going to depend where you are. You know, like we are in a small city, small town. Smaller, like not super small, like it's not a village, but it's a smaller town. Of course, if you're in Calgary, if you're in Toronto, if you're in New York, Atlanta, you know, big people, metropolitan area, your marketing will be a little bit different just because people think differently. Like just, you know, people in my area, treat this business kind of in the same way they would treat a hairdresser. You know, I'm not going to go on Facebook and look at an ad. I'm going to ask my girlfriends, like, hey, do you know anyone? Like, or I'm going to see my girlfriend and be like, man, you look good. Like, did you like it? And she's like, oh yeah. Like, and that's how I'm going to get the contact. So we found that in our area, this worked in very, very similar way.
Amazingly working.
Basically, headshots right now book on autopilot from
there's no up and down. There's
referrals,
always like
just
that.
very, very steady. Families are a little bit different, but headshots, people need them. People like, we're vetted. They'd rather pay more, but guaranteed great product versus, you know, trying all these different things. So for us, in the way we teach our students, actually, again, in our training, modern headshot method, our method was very, very simple. You go around and you tell people, hey, I have this amazing product. I'm starting this. This is what we did in the very beginning without realizing it. Like, this was not a framework. This was me, you know, trying to market my little business and trying not to, you know, go under. So I would approach all my friends, and in a very casual way, I would be like, hey guys, we're starting this new thing. It's called headshots, and we're doing it modern. We call it modern because it's not like stiff like head to shoulders. We're gonna do different crops, and we have a makeup artist, and we're gonna do different outfits and blah blah blah. And do you know anyone? And I wouldn't even ask them, do you want to come? I would be like,
that was the whole trick.
This was like the whole like non-direct kind of sell. I'd be like, do you know anyone? And they were like, well, yeah, let me try. Can I come? I'm like, sure. You know, or like, can I bring my husband because he's, you know, orthodontist? And that's how it started. And and this person, afterwards, you photograph them and you're like, do you know anyone? You liked this experience, right? They're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You know, do you know anyone? And then pretty soon they they put this headshot out, and I get calls eventually, you know. And so it started to work, and it has worked amazingly for many, many years. And I feel like our students now are implementing this. So I think it needs to be a little bit more local and organic versus, I don't even think Facebook ads are wired for like local business promotion unless you have a very, very big budget. So I think in the bigger city, they would work better. Like, we do a lot of Facebook ads with our coaching business, and they work incredibly well for like our master classes or other things. But for local business, I just don't even know if people, that's how they react to it. I think the first thing they're gonna think about their friends or people in your community, influencers. And I think and they will see, you know, like where to book your headshot. So I think it needs to be connection. Like, you need to go into business groups, into the business world.
Yes, you do.
Connect with people personally. I think that is the biggest strategic thing. And going into 2026 with AI and all the things, you know, like half photographers are paralyzed by fear and terrified. But I think that's where human connection is going to be crucial.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, nobody's gonna outsource family pictures to AI. And I think like with personal brands, you know, there's of course a layer of market that we're going to lose because, you know, people who don't need headshots and the company is forcing them, and their business does not depend on like this trust building thing. Like, they'll be like, okay, like, let me pay $50 and get some picture into AI and they're going to get it. But like, just to give you an example, I was looking, legit story, you know, and I even posted it on Instagram. I was looking for a therapist for my daughter, my younger daughter. She does gymnastics and she has ADHD. So it's not something I can call my friend and ask. It's like a very specific situation. So I go online, of course, and there's like hundreds and hundreds of therapists, right?
Wow, yeah.
And after a while, you're like, they all start running together because they all have credentials. You know, they have to have a license, they have to be certified. They've gone through like PhDs and you know, and like master's degrees and all the things. And you're like, how do I freaking decide? And you know how you decide? You look at their picture, right? Yeah.
Just
so out of hundreds, guess who made my list? There was only 3 who had a decent picture to where like I literally would look at them and they're like, okay, I think I can trust my kid with them. And that describes our whole business and what we do. I mean, we're trying to get people this picture to where like they have 3 seconds to connect with their audience. Therapists, doctors, real estate agents, lawyers, anybody. But they look, and is your picture real? I can tell who did it with AI. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? This is actually a great point. I actually did about a year ago, like a little research in Calgary, where we
Mhm.
actually, my assistant went through like literally 90% of medical businesses in Calgary just to see, and we kind of rate them and see, like good
Mhm.
website, good images, or
Mhm.
good headshots. So that's how we kind of know what's going on. You're not going to believe the results. 80% of
Yeah,
those businesses had
I know.
like either no pictures or pictures so bad that
Yeah,
when I look at them, like I would never hire you to do
yeah,
anything. Like literally.
yeah,
Exactly,
And I,
but I will believe you because that's exactly what I went through. I,
and
yeah,
I looked at Igor. I'm like, I can't believe this. I've been here for 5 hours. My eyes are like bleeding, and like these people are losing business every single day. I didn't even realize it was horrible. Yeah, like some of them were like on their lanai and their shorts. I'm like, they look like they're just like they were on crack. I'm
yeah,
sorry, it's just, and I know they have credentials. I mean, in order to
that
be on the
means
website. Yeah, like they're very smart, intelligent, highly educated people. I'm like, what are you doing?
yeah.
Why?
yeah,
You
But it's
know?
kind of hitting all the industries, right? Like, I have another story. I'm not going to mention the company because I don't want to get strike from YouTube. But there are like high-end companies, and like again, companies which makes billions of dollars, and they have like absolutely amazing images of their products. But when it comes to the employees and people who are behind the brand, it's
yeah,
like so horrible that I'm like, how you can even put those two images right beside each other? Like you have a website where one page is like
yeah,
you're in awe to see like, oh my god, this product is fascinating, and you flip it, to the next page where there's like
yeah,
salespeople, and you just like, really, this is what you guys showing? The people who selling this product looks like, you don't want to say how they look. It's yeah, it's fascinating why the companies, they don't really put that much attention of showcasing, who is behind the companies, behind the
mhm,
brand, or as you said, like even the therapists or doctors, they
yeah,
don't take care of that at all. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's for sure. And again,
I think it's
coming.
just not being aware, but yeah, it is sad. But it's a good news for us because we have
yes,
a whole market to serve,
Yeah,
and
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So you touch kind of interesting topic, and I want to also dive into this for a few minutes if we can. Let's talk about AI. I know it's a very controversial topic, people losing their mind. um, there is a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty. I also think that there's two oppositions, people who are kind of like all for it, and there's people so against it. So I start kind of playing with it a little bit, and amount of hate I got, it was just beyond belief. But we use AI for retouching and all
Right,
sorts of
right,
of
right.
course.
Yeah.
stuff, right? But so that's part of our life anyways. But what's your opinion, especially when it comes to creating images, because we have all this image generators right now, and they're like insane. I know they're not going to replace the family photos, whatever, but I just want to talk a little bit about direction of creating images. What's your opinion, if the AI is damaging what it's happening and this whole creative process, or do you think there's some hope in it? Like, what's your opinion on AI and what it's doing to our industry?
Okay, this is the only thing. This is the only how I'm looking at the AI right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's yeah, like nobody,
Unpredictable, yeah.
right, unpredictable. But here's how I'm looking at. Because of the AI, less and less we will know what's real and what's not,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
Which
scary
puts
part.
us,
It
yeah,
is
it's the
scary.
scariest part, right? So what, for me as a person who looking for the business on the let's say how she was looking for those therapists, right?
Mhm.
If I will find out in a split second, I will find out that the image done by I will not call this person, because if he's lying to me right now,
Mhm.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future, because I'm already know I already in a situation that I don't know what's real and what's not. Did you make those documents that you're a real therapist or not? I will need more of the human connection. If I come to the website and it's completely faceless, I will not call there.
Mhm.
Okay, we will. I think we will. What we will need more and more of a human, real connection, knowing that I am safe. Because person, first of all, every human on the planet leans towards what's safe for me.
Yeah.
That's my first need, right? Safety. And if you somehow with your image will tell me that I am unsafe, just a little bit of that, I will not go there.
Mm.
even more with AI because it's so close to the real. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
I
that's
100% agree with you, but it's kind of like terrifying, right? Like it's just we're losing completely
Sense of reality, right? I mean,
reality. Yes, like because advertising becoming all AI, those videos and everything, it's
yeah.
just becoming. And I think right now, what it's even more scary, the news is getting kind of also
Hmm.
interrogated by AI. So like you don't even know whatever the
Yeah.
hell they
yeah.
say on news
Yeah.
is real or it's
Yeah.
fake.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said about like the businesses. If you're putting AI images of your employees or who you
Yeah.
are, it's terrifying because
Yeah.
you don't know what they're hiding.
Yeah.
uh, so it's kind of interesting transition where we're going through, right? And then
Hmm.
I deeply believe that, as you said, I agree with you that humans, they truly need the human connection.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think we're in this kind of spot where we're losing it on the kind of like massive scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
I
But it's
just
a,
I just
but
think that
is I'm so sorry. But is our industry, if we're talking about
Yes.
headshots, I think the LB just keep going just because you need the people will need the real images. They're
Yeah.
showing them real.
Yeah.
just think about. I think AI, like if we get philosophical a little bit, AI kind of amplifies the human nature. It can be extremely helpful and extremely productive, and it can be extremely hurtful,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Like, and especially in creative worlds, like if you, I mean, there are like artists and actors being replaced by AI. There's
Mhm.
just, I mean,
Oh, it's horrifying.
music.
Really.
It's so sad. It's so sad that people, and it's becoming all flat and very like I honestly at first we were like fascinated with copywriting with through AI. Oh my gosh, it saves us a lot of time, and it does. But now you read everybody's copy is the same, and the same emojis, the same like this dramatic pauses and dashes and like perfect written, no fluff, real results. And I want to puke when
Mhm.
I just tune it out immediately. And I think
Yeah.
our world is going to go through this to where like we're just going to get really sick of it because it all looks and feels the same,
Mhm.
and people,
Just too perfect.
and yes, it's well, and it's too flat. It's the same. It's
Yes.
just making us all dumb. Like we can't think anymore.
No. Yeah. No. 100%.
Right? And so I think there's this like conspiracy side to it, like to where I think they're just making us all dumb and all this stuff. But I think in some ways it can be very helpful, like with retouching, with
Oh
like
yeah.
with your streamlined processes, with like just getting the stupid monkey work out of your way.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends how you use it. Like if you're a
Yeah.
moral, intelligent person, like you will use it this way. But unfortunately, there's always
Mm.
darker side to the world, and
Yeah.
there's always
Yeah.
and so it is scary and it is sad. But I think it's the whole world is being like shifted by it right now. Like we're
Yeah.
going through this. Remember how like internet appeared many years ago, and world has never been the same.
Yeah.
Or like Twin Towers, like we just talked
Mhm.
about,
Yeah.
9/11. Like we've never been the same. And same thing. Like the whole world is gonna go through this huge transformation, and like the
Yeah.
chips will fall, and we'll see where everything lands.
Yeah.
You know.
I really like your analogy when you said about like when you getting too much of AI, like you're just ready to puke, and it's like it reminds me like about the ice creams. Like if you have a little bit of ice cream, it's great, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
but if you like overdo it, it's just like
Yeah.
oh yeah,
You're
that's
in
not
sugar
good.
coma, and you're like, yay! Why
And I
did I?
think it's exactly the same with AI. I think and also what I've learned even myself, like I'm getting like as you said, tune out. Like you're just getting sick of it. You just like I
Yeah.
don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want to just
Yeah.
Right.
participate in this, and you just like disconnecting yourself from it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's fascinating that, and I think also like with our work, going back to our industry, that if someone kind of come out with some cool idea, we're so drawn into it, right? But now
Right.
like if everything is just so perfected that it's just
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
beyond beauty and it's just so unrealistic, like your brain also kind of like, okay, this is not real.
Right.
uh, just also I want to add one little kind of story. So I was approached a while ago from actually company which they develop AI model where you put your selfies and the AI create like a professional headshots. And
Mhm.
what was funny, they approached me and I was just like, I don't know, like I don't want to talk to them, but at the same time, like I want to get into it. Like let's see what they're gonna say and
Mm.
how they deal with this because I was just really fascinated. And they actually gave me the access to using this model, so I could just plug in shots and see what I was getting. And you know what was fascinating, and then this is kind of the whole point of our discussion. that this model had no, I would say, ability to create human emotions. Like, they took your selfies, but all those images, even they have like different backgrounds, different outfits, different lighting, they were like emotionless. Like the AI couldn't understand the human, I would say, human psychology, and how we express feelings, how we
Right.
express emotions, and we know it's going for our face, and it's even little sometimes change of emotion, your face
Oh
changes
yeah, oh
automatically,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah, big
And
time.
AI couldn't do it. And then I start talking to them because they were like, keep asking, like, what about the lighting? I'm like, you know what? If you would be even a little bit kind of into this industry, like you would know the lighting is just like the, I don't know, 5% of all this.
Right.
The rest
Right.
of it
Yeah.
is connection. This is what we talk about it.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think AI will maybe at some point, but so far I've seen, it's going to have a really hard time to pass this. And then it's, we are so sensitive to read the faces. And I think even for us, like I'm sure if you watch hundreds of thousands of faces, like we're so sensitive about like any
Absolutely.
small adjustments or changes. Even like, it's funny with watching at the kids. So my son, I have a like kid who is 11, and I can see through his face, like whenever he's like, upset or sad, or, he's like, no, no, I'm okay. But you can see it. Like,
Okay,
you
exactly.
don't
Yes.
have to
Yeah.
really say
That's
that, kid. I
exactly what we're
know you're
talking about.
upset.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So let's talk a little bit more. We passed the hour, but I want to also
Oh,
talk a
wow.
little bit about your educational element of your journey. Let's talk about it. As I said, and I'm going to show it to the world. Let
Okay.
me kind of bring that up. I'm not going to show it the whole thing. I'm just going to show the
Whatever
cover.
you want. Yeah. Whatever you want.
So I got this from you guys, white table posing. What I want to say, I highly recommend it. Whoever's watching this and you guys into headshot or portraits, get this, because this is one of the most amazing
Thank
pieces
you.
of educational kind of like help to help you with, especially headshots. I think for people who starting off and they have struggling with posing people and all this stuff, I think this is just amazing concept and tools which you guys sharing with that. So tell me about your educational kind of journey and how you guys got into this. What kind of force you, maybe not force you, but what
It
kind of
did force us.
encourage you to jump into it and help other people? Because I think this is also a huge part of photographers, and I'm doing that too. Like I educate photographers a little bit, and I know how that's changed the world, and sharing the knowledge. It's something what is pretty amazing. So let's talk about it a little bit, and tell me what you guys are doing.
Okay, so again, we never planned to teach anybody anything. So a couple of years ago, we kind of, I looked Igor in the eye and be like, and I literally told him, our social media looks really boring. Like we are gonna die with the dinosaurs if we don't step it up. Like, and at that point we had our systems, Igor, I was only working behind the scenes in the business, everything was kind of flowing. We didn't need it, but I just kind of I started to feel embarrassed. We only had like 2,000 followers on our account. He was like, why do we even need it? But I'm like, dude, I'm getting embarrassed. Like we just need to pump it up a little bit. So we started to shoot these little videos.
And funny thing is, I always loved video because I was doing videos before, like I knew how to do.
So
it.
and if you go back, you can see like they're slow. We don't know what we're doing, but for our local clients, we just want to kind of show the process because for us, and I think this is kind of like our passion and our calling because we suffered so much. When we looked at commercial type of photography and we watched all these tutorials with models, and we had the hardest time translating it to real life, and we couldn't. And then when we finally cracked the code to this, like with Igor's approach and like with lighting that is streamlined and with the processes that are streamlined, and we started to sell wall art, and our business, I remember, passed like $500,000 a year. It just became easy from like horrible, overwhelming to it just became easy. And so we started to shoot these videos. We just wanted to show experience to the clients. I was happy, and all of a sudden our local clients, like nobody cared as much, but the photographers, we started to get inundated. I mean, overnight, like we went to 10K, like, the social media just started to grow, and message after message after message. Can you teach us? Do you have any courses? Do you have any education? What do you do with your lighting? How is your lighting so bright? How is lighting?
And then about the clients
and
too.
the clients too. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, and I showed it to him, And he's like, well, I think we need to
about
do something. Let's help him, you know. And so that's literally how it started. You know, we started with the lighting course, which is studio lighting bootcamp. We have it. Enrollment is open now. We started with that. It is, like you said, it's 5% of your photo shoot, but I feel like many photographers struggle with studio lighting so much to where it just kind of like swallows them whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it needs to be streamlined, and the technical part needs to be easy and figured out, because all of your energy should be going into this emotional connection.
Let me add to what this course about, because it's not just we're teaching you how to work with the lighting, right? But first of all, we're teaching you how to work simple with just 2 lights, and give the client who comes to this little studio for you really big variety of the images, like a 5 different lighting setup just with 2 lightings, and quick, within 45 minutes. We can give them this big variety of the images that client come out and purchasing a lot of images from you just because he needs them for social media or for a website and the different sources, stuff like this. That's what course is about. This streamlined system.
Okay.
But I think our passion is just to help people who photograph real people. You know, I mean, that's our experience, how to work with like real clients in real sessions in maybe smaller spaces, home studios, people who are like real photographers who are not on the commercial set with, you know, this like very, very expensive thing. So our second course that we just finished, we need to still record it and throw it out, which was modern headshot method. That was by far my favorite one. And this was a little bit like, it had a creative piece in it, and it had business. So we talked about how to market headshots, again, our full system from start
and how
to
to
finish.
shoot this.
How to shoot, how we flow through these. So right now we have a wait list for it, because we need to like record everything that we've gotten. We had tremendous body of students. We just had so much fun. We had even like graduation party because we couldn't part. You know, we were like, let's do one more session. Our next, I think, is going to be, again, people are asking for like family sessions and how we actually sell tangible products. You know, wall art, like people don't just buy digitals. Like we have wall art, we have albums, like that whole process. Again, it's very emotion driven, but it's more of a luxury product. It's like high end market. So I think we're getting ready to release that. And we will see. I mean, I think we're all like, we try to stay in touch with our audience and our students and see what they need. Everybody's asking for in-person workshop, but our studio is so small. So we're trying to see like maybe we can launch that next year. I think now we're getting to the end of the year where we're going to sit down and be like, okay, what's next?
And it's Rafael, it's a little bit difficult for us just because we are local people who are clients, right? And new clients who comes to us. We want to keep going with that too, because we love what we do.
I just wanted to say one more thing. Like, I think one thing that's very important to us is, and we've seen a lot of educators, and I kudos to you that you do educate and you also are active in shooting. What happens to a lot of photographers, they get lazy, they get into education, and then they kind of like withdraw themselves from reality, and their advice becomes a little bit
like out of the reality.
Like out of touch with like what's happening. And we don't ever want to do that. Like we only want to teach what we actually experience and what we know. Because I think theory is pointless. And so like we would love to keep going and keep shooting.
And also, this was one of the main reason I really want to talk to you guys, because as I said, like, you know, shooting and educating, like this whole thing has to go, you know, side by side.
Hand in hand, right? I agree with you.
I agree.
Because there's no other options. Even like, you know, for myself, like I found that if you're not shooting, like you're just getting out of touch. Like, you know, you're losing this kind of like, I don't know, momentum, that the kind of the vibe, the kind of the approach. So it's extremely important. But, you know, also what I want to add to this, well, first of all, kudos for what you guys doing, because also I think that and you know, like I've done tons of those interviews, but everyone brings something new to the table. That's what is fascinating. Everyone has a different experiences. Everyone has those like, I don't know, own way of seeing things and then dealing with them. So yeah, I'm glad you guys decided to go that path, because you're doing not only tremendous work, but I think education in this industry is extremely important. And we cannot also, like, I think, belong, and based on like just couple people, I think the more educators we have,
Correct.
I agree.
it's everyone, we just reshaping all together this entire industry.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
believe there's, yeah. And I think a lot of times what I found, and I think it helped me very much to step into this role of educator, because I never, planned on it. I felt like educator, like you need to be over here, like
Yeah.
over here, and people
That's
are
not
here.
true.
And and it's not true. I feel like, I think somebody said it, and I was like, it clicked for me. I'm like, if you are hiring a tutor for your sixth grader, like your son is 11, my daughter is 11, it's like, I don't want her to be tutored by NASA engineer, right? Or like a space
100%.
engineer, right? I want somebody like who's in 8th grade or 9th grade, just
Yeah.
like a few steps above, so that like they can pull her up a little bit in her
Yeah.
knowledge. And I think we have all so much to
Sure.
give and to teach, right? Like everybody, like you said, has their unique way. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yep.
extremely
I love
helpful.
it.
Yes.
Also, what I want to add to this, and this is kind of my experience, and I'm sure you guys experiencing the same, is that whenever we teach other people, we also have to understand why we're doing things certain way. Because I remember like people like, why do you do this way? I'm like, I don't actually know. It's like I have to start.
That's eager.
Yeah.
I always like, okay,
That's why I have.
explain it to me one more time so
Yeah.
I can put it in a framework and bullet
Yeah.
points,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
I agree.
No, so thank you so much. We're gonna add all this, informations to this podcast, and I'm gonna share it all the links so people can get the lighting course, put themselves on the waiting list. I will be looking forward to this as well. I just
Thank
really
you.
want to kind of see what you guys are share the information.
so
Like I'm always learning too. And also what is also interesting that like sometimes you get those courses, and like I'm not saying most of it, but like let's say a lot of them, but there's like one little this like a little
Yeah. Yeah.
diamond with the like, shoot, how I
That's
can
for
never
sure.
figure that out for the
That is
long
for
time. And then
For sure.
like you get this like one valuable thing. Plus also I think what is great that you kind of combust all those things in one piece, right? Because there's so much out there nowadays that like if you want to get those information, you get a little bit here, a little bit there,
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah.
to just kind of pull these strings together to just get one valuable information. But having this like in one course, I think it just make hell of a difference for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. That
Thank you.
I
You're
really
very kind.
appreciate you saying that.
Perfect. So let's see if there's any questions. There's like 10 people watching. There's more coming. So if you guys have any questions, we have like a couple minutes, and then you can ask, and then we'll share those and see if anyone wants to add something to this or ask them about something which you guys are interested in. Just let me know. Let's see. People usually get quiet at the very end.
Oh,
for
yeah.
some reason.
Oh, no
yeah.
worries at all.
But they're gonna start bombarding you with emails. And can you tell me this? Can you tell me that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No questions. Okay.
All right. Cool.
Perfect. Okay, so
There's
I'll
a lot of questions, right? We answered
yes.
a lot
So
of
why don't we do this way? We will add all the informations so people can directly reach out to you, and if they have more specific questions. I just want to say big thank you from the bottom of my heart
Thank you.
for accepting my invitation. That was absolutely a pleasure chatting with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all your secrets, and then your approach to portrait and headshot photography. I'm sure there's more to come, and I will be looking forward to follow you guys and
Awesome.
kind of steal some of those ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
directly.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And also what I want to say that I hope this conversation is just a starting point. I would love to invite you guys in a while again, and then
Thank
we
you.
can
Would
kind of
love that.
continue
Mhm.
continue the conversation. So
Yeah.
the last chance to people if they want to ask any questions. No questions? Okay. Thank you so much. And we're gonna end up here. And everyone who wants to reach out, I'll add all the links so you guys can reach out directly to these
Sounds
amazing.
really good. We look forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.